Tell us what progress has been made in talks to allow Taiwanese who are stuck in Wuhan to go home.
Well, there had been until recently around 1,000 Taiwanese citizens trapped in Wuhan, but there was a small indication of progress last night when around 360 Taiwanese citizens were flown back in 2 charter flights in the middle of the night. And that's maybe a signal that there is some progress being made after months of deadlock between Taiwan and China over this issue. Obviously, most other countries had been able to get their citizens out of Wuhan in the early stages of the outbreak, but Taiwan had been unable to. Around 200 people did make it out of Wuhan. Taiwanese citizens made it out of Wuhan in early February, but Taiwan was incredibly unhappy with how that flight was handled. There were multiple protocol lapses. Some people who weren't supposed to be on the flight had made it onto the flight. Some Chinese nationals had made it onto the flight. One man who had the coronavirus and had symptoms at the time was allowed onto the flight. So Taiwan had been very unhappy with how that flight had been handled by the Chinese authorities. The Chinese obviously were very unhappy at being criticized by the Taiwanese over this. So the two sides were bickering and blaming each other over the handling of this flight and had been unable to agree on how to move forward and proceed with other flights. Now, obviously, one major complicating factor is the fact that the Chinese government decides not to recognize the government in Taiwan and is broken off all contact with Taiwan, even through previous unofficial channels. And so these talks had to be conducted via cross-strait business associations, which complicated factors and slowed everything down. But as I said, around almost 400 people made it back last night, so maybe a small sign that progress is being made. We await any further signals that more people will be coming home soon.
And it's been building up, hasn't it, Sam? And, let's set the coronavirus aside. Since President Taiwan was elected or was re-elected back in January, there have been other things that have been complicating this relationship.
Yeah, obviously the coronavirus is far from the only point of contention between the two sides. There's been a steady stream of misinformation sourced back to China about Taiwan's handling of the coronavirus, including that the government is hiding the true scale of the outbreak here. And there has been an uptick in the number of military patrols, that old tactic of the PLA to intimidate Taiwan. We've seen a definite uptick in that. So the misinformation, the military patrols, and the dispute over the evacuation show that relations between the two sides show no real sign of improvement as yet.